Paris attack and Islam. The attack of Paris on the evening of 13 November 2015 is one of the most inhumane and cruelest terrorist acts in the history of mankind. People who made this attack clearly have no ethical judgment or value for human life. According to the official report, 7 ISIL members were the perpetrators. Sadly, some people who are discriminative on the basis of religion are taking advantage of the situation and blaming the religion of those 7 perpetrators and ISIL, which happens to be Islam. There are more than 1.7 billion Muslims, followers of Islam, in the world, and according to CIA estimate, there are only 20,000 to 31,500 ISIL members. Blaming Muslims and Islam for the terrorist attack of Paris would be like blaming all Christians and Christianity for the tyranny of Adolf Hitler, who was historically a Christian and he believed he was working for Jesus. The people of France and the world have recognized this fact. The mourners in Paris have forced away those who were chauvinist and bigot towards Muslims, and making rallies chanting, "Out the Muslims," and "Throw out Islamists." The mourners rallied against these people while chanting, "Get out fascists." Some anti-Islamists are shamelessly trying to prove that the heinous acts of killing innocent people are Islamic and commanded in the Quran. And according to them, Muslims who are citing verses from the Quran and stating that Islam doesn't allow killing of innocent are simply misguided or lying. Anti-Islamists rejoices whenever events like the attack of Paris befalls, as it opens up an opportunity for them to malign and defame Islam. A good example for this would be David Wood. David Wood is an anti-Islamist, and the attack on Paris brought a grand opportunity for him to intrigue people into hating Muslims and Islam. People like David Wood just don't imply that Islam is evil, but they also imply that when a Muslim appears peaceful and loving, the Muslim is actually acting, as the Muslim does not have the upper hand in the society. And as soon as the Muslims have the upper hand, they will kill and destroy all non-Muslims. An ignorantly foolish theory, as many Muslims in the society do have the upper hand, but they are still peaceful, loving, family-grounded, good citizen, and perfectly practicing Islam. David Wood happens to be a felony criminal who attempted murder few times, and one of whom happens to be his father. Although David Wood had been in prison and mental asylum, he is today a very famous Christian apologist. According to David Wood, the attacks on Paris have to have one of the following reasons from A to F.
What caused these attacks? Was it A, climate change, B, income inequality, C, Islamophobia, D, joblessness, E, Starbucks coffee cups, or F, Muhammad's repeated commands to wage terrorist attacks?
It is very apparent that the brutal attack on Paris is a joke to him, and he is trying to be funnier and rub it on the face of the Muslims. It just exposes the desperateness of David Wood and what kind of human being he is. When the world is mourning because of the attacks on Paris, David Wood is making jokes of this heart-aching event. Many people, from civilians to reporters, and from reporters to politicians, have tried to understand and reason the cause of this inhumane event, and reach conclusions like 1. French foreign policies, 2. Hatred built with ages because of the oppressive colonialism, etc. But according to David Wood, it has to be one of A to F. This really exposed David Wood's ignorance and inhumane malevolent nature. David Wood further argues that Muslims who cite Quran, chapter 5, verse 32, where Allah, the God, condemns the killing of innocent, are misquoting Quran, as the verse was actually stolen from the books of the Jews. Even in the beginning of this verse, the God says it was revealed to the children of Israel. The verse immediate after that is commands for the Muslims. Verse 33 commands the Muslims to kill those who are against Allah and His Messenger, meaning all non-Muslims. Therefore, according to David Wood, killing non-Muslims are commanded in the Quran. David Wood is a great actor, and he is very good at lying and deceiving people, especially those who lack knowledge and reasoning. Let's take a closer look at the verses to understand what these verses are really saying. Verse 32 and 33 of chapter 5 of Quran was revealed with the example of sons of Adam, Cain and Abel. Verse 27 to 31 speaks about the event when one brother killed another brother. Then it states in verse 32, "Because of that, we decreed upon the children of Israel that whoever kills a soul, unless for a soul or for corruption done in the land, it is as if he had slain mankind entirely. And whoever saves one, it is as if he had saved mankind entirely. And our messengers had certainly come to them with clear proofs. Then indeed, many of them, even after that, throughout the land, were transgressors." Muslims believe that Allah, the God, have sent many messengers to every nation in every generation to guide mankind. And prophets like Abraham, Moses, David, Solomon, etc. are mentioned in the Quran and are accepted as true messengers of the God by the Muslims. The God mentioned these prophets and their history to educate Muslims, for teaching lessons and morals. Therefore, this verse is not nullified as guideline for the Muslims just because this verse was revealed to previous generation of the children of Israel as guideline. As Allah the God have mentioned this verse also in the Quran, this verse has become a guideline and a way of life for the Muslims. Now let's look at verse 33. Indeed, the penalty for those who wage war against Allah and His Messenger and strive upon earth to cause corruption is none but that they be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. That is for them a disgrace in this world, and for them in the hereafter is a great punishment. Those who wage war against Allah means forcing the worshippers of Allah, Muslims, to worship other things with Allah or instead of Allah, or stopping Muslims from worshipping Allah. And His Messenger means here stopping the messengers of the God from propagating the God's message. The message is, there is only one God who is above the comprehension of His creation, and to this God all will have to answer for their deeds on the day of judgment, which is inevitable. And it is an obligation on every Muslim who has received the message of Allah to convey the message of Allah and guide mankind. Strive upon earth to cause corruption means commission of crimes like murder, rape, robbery, etc. They be killed or crucified, or that their hands and feet be cut off from opposite sides, or that they be exiled from the land. That is for them a disgrace in this world, and for them in the hereafter is a great punishment. In this last part of the verse, the God is giving guidelines to penalize criminals based on their extremeness of crime. No verse in the Quran allows Muslims to kill non-Muslims unless it be in a battlefield or to avoid attack. In fact, according to these two verses, 32 and 33, a Muslim will be penalized with death penalty for killing a non-Muslim, which is taking a life which is equal to the killing of the whole of humanity. The Messenger of Allah, Muhammad, said in his hadith, Allah will not be merciful to those who are not merciful to mankind. And Allah said in the Quran, perhaps Allah will make friendship between you and those whom you hold as enemies, and Allah has power over all things, and Allah is often forgiving, most merciful. Allah does not forbid you to deal justly and kindly with those who fought not against you on account of religion and did not drive you out of your homes. Verily, Allah loves those who deal with equity. It is only as regards those who fought against you on account of religion, and have driven you out of your homes, and have helped to drive you out, that Allah forbids you to befriend them. And whosoever will befriend them, then such are the Zalimun, oppressors. The good deed and the evil deed cannot be equal. Repel the evil with one which is better. Then verily he between whom and you there was enmity will become as though he was a close friend. Like, share, and subscribe to create awareness. We are also available on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. You can also watch our videos on apostasy in Islam, Taqiyya, abrogation and contradiction in Quran, history of Islam, and more on our YouTube channel.